What's good with y'all, boys? Welcome back to the episode of Rand Everything Sports Podcast. Today, we're here to break down who we think should be the number one overall pick in the upcoming draft. Ray, who do you think should be the number one pick in this upcoming draft?
All right, so right now it's kind of a two-part question to me. First of all, for me, it's going to be what team do I think is going to have the number one overall pick? Right now, it's the Bears from the Panthers, but I don't believe that the Bears are going to want a quarterback. So I believe they're going to trade down. I think they're going to stay with Justin Fields. They're going to trade down, and they're going to let the Commanders get Caleb Williams. So then that leaves who's going to be the number two pick. I believe they're going to go with the Bears are then going to get Marvin Harrison. So that leaves Caleb Williams at one, Marvin Harrison at two, or you could say Marvin Harrison would have been the one if the Bears would have kept their spot, whatever. But then you look and you can say maybe the Bears could take Caleb Williams, and then the Commanders could have Drake May. But then you just look at Marvin Harrison's stats. I believe he is special. I mean, you look, finished fourth in the Heisman Trophy race, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, Big Ten Wide Receiver of the Year, Belendikoff winner. That's the top wide receiver. Won the Silver Football, which is the best player in the Big Ten. You look, he averaged 18.1 yards per reception, tied for the third most receiving touchdowns, and played 2 games fewer than some of the wide receivers above him. So then you look and you just look at that, how special he's been, and then you look at what Justin Fields has done for the Bears recently. He's been playing a lot better than he was before, and I just believe that Bears organization is going to be loyal to him and they're going to keep him. So I believe that looking forward, I believe that if you want to say Marvin Harrison would have been the number one, or Caleb Williams, who is going to be the true number one with the trade. I believe that's going to be year one and year two.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you that's not happening. The Chicago Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams. They're not passing on this guy. Over 3,500 yards, 30 passing touchdowns, to only 5 interceptions, and he added on 11 rushing touchdowns. Now, I can understand if Justin Fields may be in his second year, but this guy he's going into his fourth year. That contract is about to come up. We see how he looks right now with decent talent. It's only going to get less. They're not passing on the generational talent in Caleb Williams. It's just not going to happen. Now, I do understand your thinking because, yeah, it seems nice. Give him a true number one in Marvin Harrison, who is by far the best. Well, maybe not by far, because Roman Dunze at Washington is pretty damn good. But I think he's definitely the number one overall receiver coming out of this draft. And maybe in a couple of years, honestly, this guy's a freak. He's 6'4", 215, can fly, can go and get the ball. But I just don't see a struggling Bears organization passing on a generational talent like Caleb Williams. But I do understand your thinking. My thinking is I think that they'll trade Justin Fields. I know the Falcons are being talked about a lot. They just fired Arthur Smith. Thank God that they should have did that 10 games ago. So I do think that they'll trade Justin Fields and maybe try to get Caleb Williams some more weapons. But I don't see them passing on Caleb Williams. I just can't see that happening.
I have an opposite way of thinking. To me, I think that the Bears aren't looking at a win now because you look at the Panthers from last year. They went and they got the number one quarterback, the one they said was a generational talent. And you can realize in the college, yeah, a quarterback can carry a team, but in the NFL they can't. They've got to have people around them. And I think they're going to go ahead and start building around Justin Fields and hope that Justin Fields can build up. And if you look, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, if he's really not showing, then they might go and get another quarterback. Because you do have good quarterbacks coming up next year, like Riley Leonard and players like that. So you look at great quarterbacks that are coming up. Now, don't get me wrong, this draft class is loaded, and maybe they'll go and they'll pick up, a quarterback that maybe they could, if they want to build somebody up behind Justin Fields, they might pick one up, and then maybe if they have a backup, Justin Fields doesn't work out, or they could be like, okay, well, this year we're going to try and build around Justin Fields. This is last hoorah. If it doesn't work, then they're going to go and they're going to get a quarterback next year. But to me, I just feel like they have too good of a situation where they can trade down, get a little better accolades, and get the number one wide receiver in the class. I just believe that the Bears are going to trade down. The Commanders will end up getting Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I don't, we all know that Bryce Young wasn't near the talent coming out of college that Caleb Williams was. He just wasn't. Nobody thought as highly as they do on Caleb Williams as they did Bryce Young. Caleb Williams has been the solidified number one overall pick for over 2.5 years now. I mean, teams have just been waiting on him to come out. With Bryce Young, he kind of emerged out of nowhere. He really had 1.5 good years starting at Alabama. Caleb Williams, he's been, like I said, he's been talked about as being the consensus number one overall pick for at least 2 years, probably 2.5. And I just don't see that a struggling organization is going to pass on Caleb Williams. And I think it'd be a huge mistake if they did. Honestly, I do.
I don't know. I just feel like Justin Fields he's definitely been doing better than he was before. So I just feel like looking at him towards the end of the year, I just feel like they still see they can pull some life out of him and see they can build around him this year. And like I said, if he doesn't work out this year, after they get Marvin Harrison, hopefully some other offensive weapons for him, maybe a little O-line help, and then maybe next year they'll be like, okay, let's go ahead and pull the plug. Let's get rid of him and get another young quarterback in here.
Yeah, I mean, and Fields has been playing very well, but you look at the last game, he matches up with a similar guy. They're both four-year players. Jordan Love against the 22nd ranked pass defense, he puts up 9 points and 148 yards passing. There's no touchdowns, no interceptions, and yeah, he's a very athletic guy, but he only ran for 27 yards. I think that's just going to leave a very bad taste in the front office's mouth. I mean, that's their biggest rival, and the Packers have owned the Bears for the past, forever. They just have. I mean, under Matt LaFleur, the Packers have won 12 straight games against the Bears now. So I just think they're going to say, hey, I think he is who he is, or maybe he's just not fit for us. I think let's try to reset the clock, get the best talent since, I guess you would say, Trevor Lawrence, honestly, because Trevor Lawrence was probably the best talent since Andrew Luck. But hey, let's get the best talent since Trevor Lawrence.
Skipping Joe Burrow.
No, he wasn't like Trevor Lawrence though.
I don't know.
And definitely not Andrew Luck. Plus Burrow had the big medical history and the big injury risk. That's why I don't think he was as big as a
but he also had the highest rated quarterback season ever with that championship winning team with LSU.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of guys have crazy good stats. We look at Jane Daniels. He set so many records this year. He's not talked about as being one of the best. Plus, also you got to realize in that draft class there was Mac Jones. I mean, there wasn't a lot of competition for Joe Burrow. I still think he would have gone one, no doubt about that. But if you look at that draft class, Joe Burrow is really the only hit, I would say. Honestly, I can't think of anybody else in that draft class who panned out to be pretty good. I know Desmond Ridder was in there too, but he was in the second round. So, yeah, he was definitely good. And I think he's definitely better than Trevor Lawrence. But I'm just talking about as a prospect, I think Trevor Lawrence was the last true, great, gotta-have prospect. But, yeah, for me, it's just, I mean, the last game Fields plays, like I said, 11 for 16, 149 yards, 0 touchdowns, and he only rushed for 27. And they lost to a divisional rival who also has a comparable young guy at the quarterback position. I mean, right now, who would you take, Jordan Love or Justin Fields?
Oh, Jordan Love for sure.
You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like they're going to reset the clock.
Yeah, but also Jordan Love did have a good couple of years under a very, very well-established vet.
Oh, and if you look at what the Packers do, I mean, Brett Favre, Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer. So it was kind of like the next guy in line for the Packers. And we know they have an offensive head coach. We know that Matt Eberflus for the Bears. He's a defensive-oriented head coach. Usually with young guys, they need, or it definitely benefits them to have an offensive-minded head coach. We see how good Jordan Love looks with Matt LaFleur, offensive-minded head coach. We see what Joe Burrow did with Zach Taylor, offensive-minded head coach. Mahomes, Andy Reid, offensive-minded head coach. So it definitely benefits these young guys to have offensive-minded head coaches for sure. And I do agree that he was definitely put in a better position, but I just don't think that they're going to wait around for him to develop, especially because he's going into year 5 now. And that's, he's got a player option this year, but after that, they've got to pay him or let him walk. So I think they'll go and trade him early and kind of reset the clock with Caleb Williams.
So I think we can both come to a consensus that Caleb Williams is going to be the number one. We just got to look at who's going to be the one taking him.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank y'all boys for tuning in with us. Y'all make sure to subscribe to get all your sports news here, all your sports talk here, and we will lock in with you next time.